how dim it is.
You're alive.
Yeah. Let me see how dim it is. It is pretty
It's a little
dim.
dim.
Well, also, I don't think that, like, I usually turn that light on, but it's not going to make a huge difference. How about that?
That's good.
Is my head cut off? I feel like my head is cut off. Yeah. No. No.
Close it up. Okay.
Is my head cut off? No, I think that's fine.
It's
okay. Yay. Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Oh, my glasses are dirty again, but it's fine. Okay. Hello, everybody. I hope that you guys are having a great Monday. I hope you had a good weekend. I hope you had a good last week. We weren't on last week because I think
you were having
your
body was hurting.
Yeah, it was raining and my body was hurting and I just wasn't really in the mood to like do anything. So we weren't on last week, but now we're back. Hi Kodos Tropicals. It's good to see you. So yeah. There have been a few people that have hit me up on Instagram and were like, "Oh, Dr. Imani, like when, like we miss you looking so glam." I'm like, y'all know I was getting paid for that, right? I'm like, I'm not about to be walking around.
Oh,
yeah, no. I'm like this. Yeah, no. This.
So we miss you looking so glam because you looking like you would look.
I mean, right?
Is a little. Not their expectation.
I guess. I mean, I'm just like, y'all know I'm in the house.
Would you like the?
I would like that. I would like it. Thank you. Yeah. I'm like, but yeah, like I was getting paid for that. I'm normally not a
clothes horse.
Well, also, I'm not a quote unquote glam person. Like I hate makeup. Well, I was somewhere, somebody was like, okay, so what type of makeup do you use? I was like, I'm sorry. They're like, what type of makeup do you use? I was like, I don't wear makeup. I don't want that on my face. I realize a lot of you guys do. And I know that I'm in the minority, but yeah, I'm like, this is pretty much how I am all the time. Now that I've been able to fulfill my dream of wearing workout clothes all the time, like this is like the best thing ever. Also, I want to shout out Ralph McDaniels of Video Music Box. He sent this to me because I asked him, I was like, yo, do you have the gray hoodies with the blue lettering? And he was like, no. And then he actually got back to me and was like, we have it now. And I was like, okay, well, I don't see it on the website. Like, how do I pay for it? And he was like, no, it's all good. I'll just send it to you. And I was like, thank you.
Is this someone who you know?
I mean, about as much as I know anybody who's on WNYC.
That's what I mean. You know, right?
No, like I don't know. Like I've just been a fan of Video Music Box like since.
So is the messaging here to the people joining us, the people who see this, like don't think that if you write to him, you'll get a free one too? Or yes, you can. And
no, I don't think that Rob McDaniels is just giving out sweatshirts to people. I bought mine, and I live in my other Video Music Box sweatshirt. Plus these are Champion, and these are like the best ones. But I did get some oil on it, but I put some little powder on it, baking soda on it, and it washed out for the most part.
For the most part, but there's still a little.
I mean, well, it doesn't matter because I don't even care. Hi, Hyro, look at you. Hi. Hi.
I'm gonna stop because you may bite me in my face.
No, she's not gonna bite. She's not gonna bite you in your face.
But you came and chew my glasses case. Look at you got dog slob on my glasses.
Hyro, okay, thank you. Bye. Okay, bye. So let's see. I'm gonna turn this down.
So you're very comfortable now, not having to dress up.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was like this anyway. It's just that, y'all never, I mean, obviously when I was on television, they would be like, okay, Imani, like, you got to stop wearing your robe, or, can you wear something else? I'm like, something else, like what? I have clothes on. Like y'all wanted to see me. This is me.
Look, stop making it sound like
no,
that's how That's how crazy you are.
No, I'm just saying, like, I remember they made me change when they wanted to do that home tour, and I was really irritated, and I acted very irritated when I did it.
And it appeared that way on camera.
And that's great, because that's exactly what I wanted. Somebody, I am T Chisley, said hi, Soror.
That must be me.
That's you, because I don't do that. Welcome to the DST and the Divine Nine. I don't. Anyway, congratulations to you if that's your thing.
Well, the significance this week is that we are largely in mourning. Our president died.
People die.
No, Imani.
Yes.
Imani.
Yes.
She was like in her early 50s. She was your father's ski buddy, and
I don't know.
And she died of. We're not sure what she died of, but it's shocking.
No, I mean, like, people made it sound like she was old, and I was like,
no,
well, people are gonna die.
No,
that's why I said it.
No, she was not old.
Okay. All right. Well, my condolences. Let me see this. Open. Can't see. Today, in case anyone is wondering, today I actually had another meeting for my pilot for Imani State of Mind. And I know some of y'all are asking, like, oh, when is it coming back? It's coming back. It's just a different production company. So we have to, like,
you can't lick me.
Do certain things.
Lick me.
Harold, you have to go somewhere. Let's see. Oh, okay. This was sad about Regina King's son. I don't know why I feel like I heard something about like he had issues with depression in the past.
I don't know.
I don't know. But for some reason, like, that was really sad.
Well, I think that what was especially key here is that 26 years old and on his birthday.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I mean, that there are certain triggers for people. And Hyro, there are certain triggers for people, and birthdays, anniversaries of, like, certain things, especially like people's deaths, can really be triggers for people.
What does that mean? So if you have friends or someone in your life who you think may have some emotional upset about something,
right?
That when that person's birthday comes around,
yeah,
or what, you really need to be
like, you need to check in with them. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, there are, I mean, not that depression occurs in a vacuum, but when I do see patients that complain of depression, I will ask them, like, oh, did anything happen recently? Because there are certain triggers that do occur. So
aside from, what's the day of the time of the year that is it Christmas, where they say a lot of, relatively speaking, the numbers of suicides go up? Is it Christmas? There's some holiday period that I can't remember what it is.
I don't remember right now. I know that there's a lot of people end up, what am I trying to say? Like on Super Bowl day, there are a lot of admissions to the emergency room.
You mean not from over drinking, or
just from, like, being drunk and acting stupid, and, like, or people, like, get really agitated and they have to, like, I mean, as in terms of like, when I used to work in the psychiatric ER, like, it was just like, it was relatively quiet, but then there would be, like, a burst of people, like once halftime would occur, when, like, people weren't watching the game, and then things would just, like, go crazy, and then there would be all these people that would come in.
Yeah, but come in because, I
got into a fight, or I beat my wife, or I'm drunk and I hit my head, or I, like, all kinds of stuff. But I think you're right about the Christmas thing. I think that I think that, like, well, I can speak from relatively recent experience. There were a lot of patients I spoke to around the holidays that were like, oh, my parents are both, they both passed away, and this is really difficult for me. And
Okay, so it is Christmas, because I was going to say that working in news, I know that there was a time of year when we would all just like get ready, because
yeah,
it's Christmas.
move viral.
And it's Christmas.
Yeah, it's Christmas time.
You having a profile?
Yes. So yeah, I mean, and I didn't know that it was 4 days after his mom's birthday, after Regina King's birthday. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot.
It's so sad. And I was particularly reading and looking into what happened, that some years ago, she and her ex-husband, were really intolerant of each other when the son was younger, and that she said it hit her when they were at some performance or a game or something that he was part of, like the center of attention, and the father was on one side over there, and she was over here, and she said when it was all over, she realized that that's probably not good for him.
Yeah.
Right. So she went and talked to him,
to her ex-husband, right,
and said that for his sake, we need to, try to at least have some kind of a cordial, not hanging out. Oh, come on in and sit down, but at least not make his stomach turn whenever his parents were going to be in the same location. And as a child who grew up with parents who fought each other, it is nothing that you want to live through. It's dreadful. It's horrible. And, if on the rare chance that when we were at my father's house, if he took us to like a Jamaican celebration or something, or there was a barbecue or whatever, we didn't come home, at least I didn't come home telling my mother, we had a really great time. I wouldn't complain, but you kind of felt
tight.
You felt tight. You felt like you may be betraying, that parent if you had fun with the other parent.
Right.
And, I know so many children, including your own, who I've had conversations with, and said, at some point, if these things get to be troubling for you, you got to speak to your parents about it. Not that you're going to ask them to be best buds or anything like that, but maybe for your own sake, graduation, a football game if you're on the team, or a recital if you're whatever, that they not shoot daggers at each other or deliberately ignore, because it's very difficult for a little kid to resolve those feelings when you love both parents.
Well, I mean, I do not speak to Idris's father at all. You're the intermediary.
Right.
Like, we do not speak. That's just not something that I can reconcile. I do not have an issue being around him, just so long as, he doesn't act weird. I'm saying, like, in everyone's presence.
What's weird?
Well, I mean, not that I'm going to get into it, but like when he, like the last time that me and Idris's dad were in the same venue, let's say, was when Idris graduated from preschool, and he was doing like the most.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, for my personal sake, I know how I am as a person. Once you've reached a certain threshold with me, there is no going back. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be mad at you or, throw eye daggers, like you said, but to me, you're effectively like dead. Like, I just don't care.
Yeah, but it changes the energy, right? And it changes the energy because the child can certainly feel.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's really what this is about. And again, this came up in connection with, the suicide of Regina King's son, unfortunately But, and so it's certainly not saying that this was a reason why.
Right.
I know nothing about any of that. But just to say, when you said that her birthday was 4 days before his birthday,
right,
which is when he committed suicide, it's just.
Yeah, I mean, when you get into those deep, dark places, like your logic doesn't make a lot of sense. And so even though, I mean, I've talked to patients who have said to me, well, I just think it's better. And I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard this before, like, oh, well, someone saying, I think it's just better if I'm not here. I mean, suicide is not about like, when it comes to people who are depressed, suicide is not about, well, I'll show them. It's about,
it's not a weapon.
No, it's about existing is so painful. And every time I go to sleep, I wake up with the hope that I'm going to feel different, and I don't. And I just don't want to feel this way anymore, and nothing is working. So I'm just going to really like euthanize myself is really the thinking. Now I mean, I will say this with some trepidation, but it's true. There are people who do have borderline personality disorder, and they do have a higher rate of attempting suicide. And those, not everybody, but those are people who will do it and be like, look what you made me do.
What's borderline personality disorder?
Borderline personality disorder is a personality disorder that characterizes people who they are not able to process their emotions very well. And likewise, they're not able to process the emotions of others very well. And so they kind of go through life in this gray, fuzzy area where if I say something like a simple sentence, like devoid of any type of like attitude or emotion, they may take it a certain way and run with that. This is just like a very rudimentary example, and run with that, and then create a whole like dialogue of like, why we're having this particular drama. And it's like, I don't even know, like, where did that start? Where did that come from? So these are also people who stereotypically, and I'm saying stereotypical because it is something that you can find in the disorder. These are people who they oftentimes don't have a very good relationship with their mother, not all the time. And because of that, because your mother is your touchstone and the person who you, in a lot of situations, in a lot of cases, learn like emotional modulation and regulation from, they don't know how to deal with emotion at all. And so there are times when people, like, I've treated patients in the hospital. I did release them pretty quickly because it was like, well, like there was one particular patient I had where like it was the wildest thing. I discharged her because she was like, if you don't keep me, I'm going to harm myself. So I gave her medication to get her out. Because like she was just ramping herself up because what she was asking for in terms of medication, I was not going to give her because it wasn't indicated. So, and it was like, I got to get you out of here. Like you're doing.
But she was saying to you, if you don't keep me, if you release me, I'm going to harm myself.
Right. And so she was like, well, if you don't release me, that if you release me, I'm going to harm myself. I said, well, and I knew she was borderline. So I was like, well, why don't you just harm yourself here? And she was like, blink, blink. And I was like, you got to go. Because that's weaponizing. Like, that's not what people who are truly suicidal and depressed do.
Oh, so you mean she wasn't.
Right. She was weaponized. She was being very manipulative. And there are cases of patients I've dealt with who are borderline who can be very manipulative. And I'm like, I don't know why you think this would work on me, but you can go. Like, I don't do that. In one particular case, there was a person who was like, you know what, honestly, like, thank you. Because they don't do well, like, they need boundaries, but they really haven't been given any. And so when they encounter somebody who I love boundaries. So they're just like, And I'm like, go ahead and hurt yourself if that's what you want to do. Do it. Go.
And that's, so that's you being the psychiatrist in the facility saying,
do it. Like if you're going to weaponize, if you're going to really weaponize harming yourself because you want something from me, that's not how this works. I am the person who determines what is best for you in this acute case. And right now you need to bring it down. But since you want things that I'm not going to give to you because they would be dangerous if mixed together, you have to leave.
and that's the assessment when you know that the person is not suicidal.
Yes, absolutely right. I knew that. Right,
Okay.
right. No, I knew this. I'm not gonna be like, well, then go ahead and do it. Then no, like
Jump.
Right? No. This was someone who I had received report that the person was just like acting up overnight and trying to like, get other patients involved. And the other patients were like, I'm sorry, but like, we're not messing with, like, we don't even want to deal with you. And it was just a constant, because the person had no boundaries. So every time a nurse or a mental health worker would be like, yo, you need to go back to your room, she was like, ah. So when I came in, I was like, well, then go ahead and do it. Go.
That's like in the movies when you see somebody screaming hysterically.
Right, you slap them. Right. I'm like, girl, go.
Okay.
Go. I don't have time for this. Like, and honestly, you're gonna leave. But yeah, that was the first time that like I gave an injectable like an injection to someone to get them out. And everybody was like, thank you. And I was like, you're welcome, because I'm not doing this. Like, I will not be used and manipulated to get what you want, which in this case were controlled substances. And I was like, if you want to be high, you can leave. So that's what happened. So yeah, I mean, I know that sometimes I can seem very cold, but it's not that I'm being cold. I'm just very logical and rational when it comes to certain things. I am a doctor.
It's a slap to reality.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'm just like, nah. Somebody asked, would that be your response? This is what I said earlier to one of your patients who lost their parents. People die. Wasn't she old? No, I'm talking to my mother. My mother knows me.
And that's not to say that your mother doesn't find it annoying, because
right,
because it is, but
that's how I not always been that way.
You have always been that way.
So, for example, there have been people who have passed away recently, right? Betty White died. Andre Leon Talley died. And we just finished talking about Ian King, Regina King's son, right?
Is his name King? No, it wasn't King, but something.
It was Ian's son. It was Ian.
Yeah, his name's Ian.
Yes.
Right.
So why did we discuss him? Because that was an untimely death. I am someone, just so you guys know, I find it to be cognitively dissonant to involve myself in Greek life. I've always felt that way. It's something that I just don't understand and don't want to understand. So when I heard that this person had passed away, what was she? The president?
Mm-hmm.
Died. I was like, oh, well, this must be like another older person who passed away.
No.
There you go.
Well, I think that for you, the statement about Greek life has everything to do with your exposure.
Or more so my individuality and my inability to deal with people trying to tell me what to do.
And your exposure to what you saw at an HBCU.
Well,
where
part of it, yeah. but I already knew, like, from jump. I was like, I'm not doing that. Why? Like, that's just not a part of my personality. I'm not a part of that. And I've never understood why other people would. But I mean, obviously there are lots of other people are not like me. Like, why did you do it? Because you were asked.
What you're describing, I didn't do.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
But you told me before I went to Xavier, don't come back home with that. That's what you said. Well, that's why I think it's interesting that now you're like, I'm a Delta.
But you're not letting me answer the question you asked.
Okay,
why did
I
do it?
Go ahead.
Okay. I did it because at the point where I was asked to become an honorary Delta,
Right.
it was an honor for me to join a group of almost 300,000 college educated Black women who pledged themselves to service to community. A lot of what we see, particularly when in undergraduate situation, is the partying, the dancing, the pledging, the dressing alike, the step shows, the line dances, all of that, which some people consider as fun. The college I went to had like these many Black people.
But y'all do that. I've seen you dressed like other people and y'all taking pictures.
But I'm not finished.
Okay.
It's not about that. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is that I joined at a point where, especially when, as an adult, when I realized sometimes it takes the power of the many in order to affect a change. What I learned was the kind of community things that I, as a grown professional,
Black woman,
right, could participate in and be helpful.
Okay.
Right? So I wasn't trying to, let me go to these parties with my t-shirt. No, but at the national convention, where what we're doing is wearing our colors and stuff like that, I have no problem with that. But nor do I have a problem with going to step shows and seeing that. But the era that I grew up in my neighborhood, where I saw guys beaten with paddles, I saw people branded with, a Greek letter, and I was like, whoa, wait, what? I'm not doing that.
Right.
And I'm still not doing that.
Right.
And I don't condone doing that, but that is not a requirement of the Greek organization. That's what people do as part of the social aspect. But remember, these days, a lot of that stuff has been called into question, and the hazing and all of that is not to go on. But in a lot of instances, it still goes on.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Mom, that's hypocritical. That's hypocrisy. Like, I don't understand how can you reconcile one thing and be like, well, I don't agree with it, but I'm still down with the community aspect. Like, I can't pick it. Like, when it comes to stuff like that, either everything is up to par or I'm not doing it.
Oh, I don't think that's true.
What do you mean? As far as me?
It can't be as cut and dry, as black and white as you are describing your life. That is not true.
Well, what I'm saying to you, though, is here's a perfect example. Okay. So remember I sent you that article on Dave Chappelle? And it was written by, oh my God, I forgot her name, for Vanity Fair. This is my thing. In the article, what was discussed was, listen, I like Dave Chappelle. I think he's really funny. But there are things that he has done recently that maybe at first I was like, okay, I'm going to take the sum of the parts, mm-hmm. and I'm going to put a pin in this one particular thing where he was talking about like the trans community, and he referred to like, the alphabet people, which was like really messed up. But I was like, I'm gonna just put a pin in that because like, maybe this is something he felt he wanted to just talk about in this particular special. But then it kept going, mm-hmm. and it got old, and it got stale, and it got just really like, it just made me it made me uncomfortable after a while. Okay. And so one of the things that I have been really, I guess, aware of recently is just accountability.
But how does that? Okay, so because of what I want to just do is understand. Does that mean you will never listen to, watch, laugh at anything Dave Chappelle says?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
But okay, I want to make sure where you're going with.
That's not what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is that for now, I personally have to take a break. But when it comes to accountability, right? What one of the things that article discussed was the fact that we as Black people, yes, when it comes to like, of course, we don't want to quote unquote tear each other down, but there is time when we need to criticize someone who is Black, who is doing too much, because it's just not necessary. And so for me, right? Of course, everything isn't black or white. But when you talk about hazing, when you talk about like people, like, granted, this was something that I didn't experience it, but I kept hearing about it even after I graduated from college. People not necessarily dying, but having to go to the hospital with like acute renal failure because they had to run around tracks for like miles and miles and miles. Like there is something that is there is something that I'm like, listen, either we need to I'm saying black people, either we need to figure out how to have organizations like Greek organizations, which bothers me, but like the name Greek organizations where we are not subscribing to white supremacist principles and we are doing our own thing, or there's going to be this gray area where, you know, like for someone like you, oh, there's community service, even though I know these people are running around acting like idiots. Like I can't reconcile that within myself.
Okay.
So that's why anytime anybody's like, oh, this, that, and the third, I'm like, yeah, okay, well, good luck with that, because that just sounds stupid to me.
So let me interject here something, right? That I think maybe you'll follow how and why I'm bringing this up.
Okay.
Slavery existed in Africa.
Yes.
Africa,
in a certain capacity. Yes.
Let me finish.
Okay. Yes.
Africans absolutely enslaved other Africans.
Absolutely.
Right?
Queen Nzinga was a slave.
Africans enslaved other Africans, and yet when we talk about slavery in this country, among us, we talk about a form of slavery that we were subjected to by an oppressor from a different race for racial, economic, fill in the blank, right? And I don't know that there's a benevolent form of slavery.
Right.
Right? I don't know that
exactly.
there's a benevolent. There are degrees of pain, there are degrees of oppression.
Of humaneness.
Right. What I am saying to you is that when you make the statement that you just made about fraternities and sororities, right? I'm going to maintain to you that that is not what the overall, right? That's not what it stands for. Right. Is that something that goes on within? Yes. Right. It does go on. Has it been denounced and do not do that? And if this happens and we see it happen in a chapter, you will no longer exist. Yes, that happens. Yes. Human nature is human nature. People think that in this particular instance, this may be a part of it. And people are going along with it with this belief, tradition-wise. Well, when it's my turn and the next class comes in, I'm going to do that to them. Right. Which is like, what is wrong with you? Well, and that is a fault of human nature. That is not a fault of 300,000 Black women saying, oh, go get a paddle and beat so-and-so's ass. I don't think that's a fault of human nature. I think that's a fault of white supremacy. And because we live under white supremacist principles, it's the thinking that, oh, well, this was done to me, I'm going to do it to somebody else, instead of saying, I'm going to not do that and make this what it should be. So when you see where Black fraternities and sororities pays, you're interpreting that as following white people. Yeah, I do. Oh, wow. I do. Like, why would I mean, because I guess what I'm saying is I'm not from Africa. I've never been to Africa. At best, I can say that I've studied a lot of African things, whether it's in school or whether these are things that I've read on my own. And what I've gathered is that when it comes to whites and when it comes to Europeans, Caucasians, and Africans, take, for example, Idi Amin. Take, for example, all of the African dictators that came to be after the European colonization of Africa. They went so far, they went above and beyond in a way to
in my opinion, and to the opinion of others, to prove to this system they were living under that, like, well, you know what, I'm just as ruthless as the white man. And that's what I'm saying. That's what bothers me about it.
Okay. And I'm not going to tell you that what you stated is not a fact.
Okay.
But I am going to say to you that European invaders, colonists aside, there have absolutely been instances of tribal wars that included inhumane treatment, killing, maiming, murdering, raping. That wasn't introduced onto that continent by Europeans. It was not. No. The racial aspect of it, and you are not human, and this is the justification for why I can keep you in a pen or chain. That is what was introduced.
Right.
Right. The racial aspect of it, the justification for my doing it, because you're not a human anyway.
Right.
That was the element, right? And it goes back to, that part goes back to, was it Alexander the Sixth, the Pope?
Yeah.
Who had children, not supposed to, right? But who
they're all having sex.
But who looked at the Catholic world,
right,
and said, I am giving the rights to ownership
right,
of the world to the Spaniards and the Portuguese, both of which at the time were hugely wealthy Catholic nations, paying homage to the Roman Catholic Church. So when he divides the world between the Spaniards and the Portuguese, I mean, think of the names like Vasco da Gama. Portuguese. Oh, well, what was he doing? The Pope had said, you can explore the world, and everything you find, you claim in the name of God and King.
Right.
Right. So that two people, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain, in order to claim their portion of it, they hired an explorer by the name of Christopher Columbus, who was Italian.
Right.
I'm going to find the spices and the whatever of India, because all of that was monetary. It was currency.
But then why, when you got there, did you completely lose your mind?
I'm going to finish. He was lost. He went in the complete wrong direction and ended up in the Caribbean and looked at indigenous peoples and said, I'm in India. These are Indians. No, they weren't. And what they did was, because they were not Catholics, they were not baptized, they were not humans as defined by the Roman Catholic Church, they were enslaved.
And worse, if you could even say that.
They were impregnated,
raped,
they were raped.
Germ warfare.
What I want to also say out loud here is, you say, oh, I'm a doctor. I'm a trained historian.
Okay.
Right? A part of what you see repeated throughout history, and not just among European Caucasians, but when one people conquers another people, one of the first things that happens is the men impregnate the women. The conquering men, the victors, go and find, right, the conquered women and impregnate them. Why? Because now your line includes us. My children are in your line. So when you're seeing all of this,
okay,
throughout Africa, different tribes, the men would impregnate the women of the tribe that lost.
I know, but Mom, that's not what I'm talking about.
But Imani, what I'm saying to you is this whole notion. I'm saying to you, there's the notion of being conquered for the sake of we beat you, and the other notion of being conquered because you're not human and everything you have, including your life, your livelihood, is mine. Because you're not human. That's what the Roman Catholic Church taught.
I understand
That's where
that,
the racism comes
but
in.
what I'm saying to you is back to the original topic. I am someone who never could reconcile within myself when I was in medical school and it was like, oh, well, we're gonna pimp it. Like, don't pimp me.
What does that mean?
It means that like all of a sudden you're like the red. Let's say you're a medical student. The resident that is further along than you,
Right.
or the attending physician, suddenly is like, Imani, what is the values for da 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 da? And I'm like, okay, first of all, I need for you to like fall back. Like, if you want to do an impromptu pop quiz, just say that, but don't just come rushing up on me asking me things. And so,
But I want to, but I don't. I don't understand.
I don't like that.
I don't understand. Is it the role of a farther along resident to quiz a newer resident? Is that what they do?
I mean,
is that the part of the learning?
That's part of the learning, but I was like, I'm not that person. So when it came time for me to have people who were under me, which I still have, I'm like, listen, if you have any questions or if you want me to ask you questions, I will do that. But I'm not, because that can be very demeaning. And
right.
I don't deal well with that. And I get very angry with that. I realize that not everyone is like that, but slight transgression, slight change of topic. I keep hearing these stories of Black women, like young Black women who are like, oh, I feel like I have imposter syndrome. And it's because of this demeaning, dehumanizing way that other people treat them. And that's ultimately for me is what I'm getting at when it comes to sororities, fraternities. Like, if you were treated terribly and you went through it, which is crazy to me, but I realize this is not your experience.
And it's not a lot of people's experience.
But let's say, for someone who did, why would you then do that to somebody else? And
well, you're generalizing.
I'm not generalizing.
No, stop. You're generalizing a behavior as though everybody is doing that.
I didn't say everybody was doing it.
But it's not true. Okay, let me just be clear. That's not true.
But it happens. And that's the problem.
Of course it happens. Just as not everybody, as a resident like you were, is going to stand up and say, no,
get out of my face.
Don't come. Right. And they're not going to do it. And that doesn't mean that because it was done to them, well, then I'm just not going to be a doctor. How dare they do whatever?
What it meant, though, is that I wasn't going to do that to
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the people who are other residents. It does not mean that because I don't like how somebody came at me, therefore I'm not going to be a doctor. Because why would a doctor do that to another doctor? You understand what I'm saying? It's a generalization.
Okay.
Some people walk into it with the same perspective you do, which is that, no, I'm not down with that. And most importantly, when the time comes for me, I'm not going to do that to other people either.
Right.
Right. That's the world that everybody lives in.
Right.
Right. So the subjugation of people, the making people feel bad, it was done to me and therefore I'm going to do it to you. I'm having difficulty seeing that as a European construct. That's why I said it's human nature. When we go through, and you can look at these where if you grow up in an environment where all that happens is hitting and hitting and hitting, somebody is going to hit and somebody is going to receive, but that doesn't mean that the person who's hitting is never on the receiving end of a blow.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
Right. So when I said earlier, some of it is human nature in that there is an aspect of human nature that tries to, one person wants to dominate one person wants to be the alpha dog, right? That's human nature. The question is, what kind of resistance, if any, does that person who's dominating run up against? Well, what you just described is some of those people ran up against you. Don't do that here.
Right.
I never, ever, ever, ever in my whole life complied with anything like that.
Right, exactly.
Right. So when you say, why would you? I am not a participant in that. And in truth, had I joined in college, had I gone to a college where they had sororities, I might have seen some of that. I've never seen any of that because I wasn't in a world where there were enough Black people to even participate in a fraternity.
Okay.
And when I said you were at an HBCU
where there were 2 instances of that happening, and all I was told my first year was, well, it's not something that happens all the time. And then it happened twice in a relatively short period of time. And I was like, you all must think I'm stupid. This is dumb. Like, you all must think that I'm stupid if I'm going to sit here and have you all tell me, well, it's just an isolated instance. I'm like, oh, really? To both of them? Both of them.
I won't argue that with you at all because there's no arguing it. What I am saying to you is what you saw among the 18, 19, 20-year-olds and somebody's explanation of, oh, but that doesn't really happen, knowing that is not true. It does happen. The question is, how often does it happen? And are there any consequences when it happens? Now, the reality is, this kind of behavior is not limited to a certain age group, not limited to a certain social group. This happens, things like that happen all over the place. The question is, what do you do? And your decision was, I'm not participating in that.
Right.
My decision was, I'm not participating in that. However, I didn't have an option to participate because I wasn't in an environment where it even existed.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying to you.
Right.
That's what I'm saying to you. So this is my issue with it personally.
Okay.
You obviously are your own person. You do whatever you want to do with yourself,
right.
Obviously.
Right.
When I left to go to college, you said, do not do that. And I said, not a problem. That is not an issue for me. My issue is...
What I said to you was, do not participate in anything sorority, club, team,
right,
where anybody's going to try to beat your ass, where they're going to make you do whatever, anything you don't want to do. I absolutely said
yes.
that. I said it then. I will say it now. I say it as a member of Delta Sigma Theta. I will say that.
Okay.
And I believe that. I have not been exposed to that.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Well, when you say to me, well, I don't understand how you can do whatever.
Just because you haven't been exposed to it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. And I'm just saying that there is cognitive dissonance on your part when you are like, well, I didn't see it.
No.
But it still happens.
What I'm saying to you is, and I'll go back to Dave Chappelle. Are you saying to me that forever and for time immemorial, because he said alphabet people and he said whatever he said,
right,
that he's now no longer funny? I'm not gonna listen to anything he says. No. Right. What I'm saying to you is that in order for you to be a rational human being operating in a context, you are going to have to figure out where you fit in that context. And I'm saying to you, it isn't that I'm going, if my niece, if my grandniece, if my grandson said today, I want to pledge fill in the blank.
I would say no.
I would say to him, under no circumstances do you allow anybody to beat you.
Under no circumstances are you going to do that.
No,
period.
I'm not saying
that's what you say, but I'm saying as his mom, the answer is no.
I'm saying to you that consistent with me telling you, don't let anybody beat you, intimidate you, subjugate you. I will continue to say that until I take my last breath. If there is a circumstance to pledge and that is not what's going on, I don't have a problem with it. If that's what's going on, I absolutely have a problem.
I have
with
a
it.
problem with it because until, for me, this is me, Imani. I can't speak about anybody else. I like data, right?
Mm.
If someone were to show me, you know what, over these past 5 years, we did a study. And what we found is that there were no hazing incidents anywhere in the country with any Black Greek organizations. I would say, you know what? Great. That gives me a little bit of hope. But if we still have these pockets and people are saying, well, you shouldn't do that, and we're going to strip you of whatever letters or whatever for a period of time, that to me is not enough. That's just being like, well, I mean, you shouldn't do it, but like, you know, like that, like that's not, that to me is not enough.
What is enough?
Enough is, like I said, when there is a longitudinal period, like a longitudinal study,
Yeah,
where there are no incidents,
right,
and what Greek organizations purport to be doing is actually flourished, like it's actually like demonstrable and flourishing. That would be enough for me.
Apply.
It would be a start.
I would like for you to apply that same those same criteria to the profession of medicine.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Great.
So if there was a longitudinal study that said that doctors don't abuse patients,
right,
that doctors don't abuse drugs,
that doctors don't kill themselves at a high number,
right, then when I see that longitudinal study and I see that that is not going on, then
if Idris wanted to be a doctor, I would say sure.
Then I can be a doctor, right?
Yeah.
But until I see that, no, you can't be a doctor.
Sure.
So I should have said to you, no, you can't be a doctor.
Yeah. I wanted to be a writer. You said to me, you were like, well, Imani, like you're not going to make a lot of money doing that, and since you like science and stuff, you should probably like think about medical school. That's what you said. That is what you said in the meeting we had with my 11th grade English teacher,
when you were
Dennis,
11 years old. You said, I want to be a doctor. I said, oh, where is that coming from? I like and I want to be a doctor. When you were 16 years old, I believe you were 16, I, with Maritza's help, enrolled you in that program at NYU Medical School.
I was 15.
Okay. At NYU Medical School. Again, you stated early, I want to be a doctor. Right. I want to go to medical school.
Sure.
Right. Now you're in high school.
Yeah.
And you said to me, after you start experiencing drawing, you said, I want to be a writer. And I said to you, what happened to going to medical school? What happened to being a doctor? Well, I don't really want to do that. Okay.
I don't remember saying that. And can I clarify? There are things that you have told me not to do, and I did them anyway.
Absolutely.
So even if Idris was like, I'm going to join a frat, I'd be like, well, I don't think you should do that. No. If he wanted to do that, that is his experience. Right. And if he ends up getting his ass beat, then I'd be like, you know what? I did warn you. Now we have to, do X, Y, and Z. But at the same time, like, if, this is just like I said to you, this is your experience. This is what you want to do with yourself. Right. All I can do is have an opinion about it.
Right. And so if Idris went ahead and did that, is it that you would say, and I don't understand the cognitive dissonance? I don't understand why you would do that. Okay.
I would. Right. I would, because honestly, when it comes to making decisions like that, somebody said, oh, well, being in a fraternity is for a lifetime. Great. If that is how you truly feel, then like you have to be able and willing to accept all of it. And if the majority of it is good, then fine.
I don't have to accept all of it.
But that's what you do, because you remember.
That's bullshit, Imani.
No, it's not.
I can reject a portion of it, and I can say that's wrong.
Then why? That doesn't make sense to me. That makes no sense.
Oh God.
No, it doesn't. Then
you're an all or nothing person, is what
when
you're
it
telling
comes
me.
To this, when it comes to people being harmed, yes, I am. Yes, I absolutely am.
Well, I have examples that would be way too personal that I'm not going to discuss here.
Okay.
But what I'm saying to you is that what you just said,
right,
living in this all or nothing, black or white, that is not the world that you live in.
Mom, what I'm saying to you is you are a dynamic person, as am I. At one point, you did not want to do this. You did not feel that this was something that you could do. And then here you are, right? In the past, right? I was more willing to accept gray areas. Now I am not. That's what I'm saying to you.
You're not willing to accept gray areas in many instances?
I'm not willing to accept gray areas when it comes to the harm of others. I'm not willing to accept gray areas when it comes to the upholding white supremacist principles. I am not willing to accept gray areas when it comes to just people not being able to fully express themselves. If somebody participating in a step show is the way that they wish to express themselves in a moment, that's fine with me. Again, I am one person. I have one opinion. I'm just me.
Being in a step show doesn't mean that you had your ass beaten.
Of course it doesn't. Of course not. But being in a step show and being in a fraternity means that you are aware that at some point, at some period in time, whether it's going to be in the past, present, or future, somebody is getting their ass beat in the name of your fraternity.
Then why did you get married?
Because at the time I thought it was a good idea, and because I'm a dynamic person.
Meaning dynamic, meaning change.
Exactly.
Right. There's evolutionary.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And
right.
when you become more aware of, when you get more data points, when you
right.
live life, when you live a variety of experiences, you're able to alter.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
So what I'm saying to you is that, right, I am the person who at the age of 21 joined the Nation of Islam.
Right.
Right.
And you left when it changed into something that you didn't agree with.
The greater good for what I thought it would do for the Black community made me join the Nation of Islam. Did I believe in this variation of Islam that they were teaching? No.
Right.
No.
Okay.
Right. No.
And that was a gray area for you.
What was a gray area for me?
That you didn't believe that Islam they were teaching.
It wasn't Islam.
Right. But as far as the good for the Black community and their presence,
I joined an organization for the betterment of the Black community. I met a man who came to it from a completely different way than I came.
Right.
And we got married.
Right.
Right. His behaviors were guided by rules that they had in place.
Right.
My behaviors were not guided by rules that they had in place.
Right.
So ultimately what happened was, when those rules were lifted because the leader died and the leader's son took over and said, that's not Islam.
Right.
You can do certain things in the name of this organization, not a religion.
Right.
This organization.
Right.
Or not. But I am changing this. I said, I think you have to believe in the religion.
Right.
In order to execute some of the tenets that they are saying are important to them. The decision I had to make was, do I believe in the religion? I didn't know enough about the religion to know whether I believed in it, because I'd never studied the religion.
Right.
Right. Do I believe in the organization?
Sure.
I
did
not.
At that time, like after, right.
I did not. Even before the leadership changed, like you as an individual, as an individualist, I was so-called in trouble a lot because there were some things I wasn't going to do. I wasn't going to comply with.
Right.
So it didn't say to me, and therefore this organization is bullshit.
Right.
What it said to me was, I don't have enough of the fortitude to put up with things I disagree with, to stay in this religion, to stay in this organization, to stay in this community. That didn't mean I left and said, it's all bullshit.
Right.
Because it's not.
But you left. Okay. I mean, someone said on Instagram, well, I want to get this correct, because I was like, okay. D9 history is bigger than minuscule hazing. Hazing is not minuscule.
Imani.
I'm not saying hazing as a whole. I'm saying if a black person is being physically violent to a black person in the name of Greek organizations, that is very, very problematic.
And guess what?
And that's not minuscule to me.
It's not minuscule. And guess what? What I am still going to say to you, and you can accept it or not accept it, is that in order to get to a leadership role in such organization, you cannot condone that behavior.
Okay.
All right. You can't.
Of course.
Right. Does that mean it stops? It's not stopping. Because I'm going to go back to then again, me and the Nation of Islam. Right? Did certain behaviors stop when a new leader came in and said, this is not, it did not stop. What happened was, for a little while, a group of people were over here very upset because who gave him the right to change?
Right.
Right? He said, there's no compulsion in Islam. I can't force you to do anything. So if you don't want to live your life this way, you can leave. I'm not putting you out.
Right, but you can go.
You can go. And you can continue to have your own organization, which is what happened.
Right, exactly, right.
So what I'm saying to you is that, and that's why I went to it's not black or white. There will be gradations of, because for me, as my parents said, why would you join an organization? Why would you whatever for the nation? And I said, because what I have grown up seeing done to black people is something that I think I could do something about. And in this organization, I think, has the right philosophy, has the right approach, has a membership. Together we can work to change things. Well, I got in there and found out, not so much, but I still wasn't in a position where I was walking away. I walked away when the leadership changed and the person I was married to could not handle the relaxation of the rules that made him do this and this and this. Once those rules were relaxed,
okay,
right? And I was saying, no. I'm not telling you you can't exist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not telling you you are 1000% wrong. I am telling you I'm not down with this, and so I'm going over here. I've taken my child,
right,
and I'm going over here. And that doesn't mean that I said to you, and you can never
talk
to this child again, right?
Well, no.
None of that. So
I still went to mosque.
Right. And what I'm saying to you is, understand that when you're doing a blanket dismissal, what you are not accounting for is what I just described, what I went through. Transitional steps, a dynamic process that got me from here to here to here to here to here.
Okay.
Okay.
So Delta Sigma Theta, you feel you have gone through a dynamic process to get to where you are now, as far as like you being a part of this organization?
What are you asking me?
What I'm asking you is, you didn't have the collegiate experience. So, and you are a member of...
I didn't have the collegiate experience. I didn't have the experience of joining an alumni chapter. Right. I was already baked and in my 50s.
Right.
When I was asked to become an honorary member.
Okay.
And I said, I would love to be an honorary member.
So, and you feel that your membership or whatever, that it is doing better for the community, is doing great things for the community.
That my sorority?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What are you doing?
We're not going to have this conversation for you to pick apart.
No, I'm not.
No.
I'm seriously asking. I'm not trying to pick apart. I'm saying I don't know, and that's why I'm asking.
All right. Well, what I will tell you is, depending upon what institutions you think are working or not working, depending upon what you think, um, whether it be an institution of medicine or business or law or communications or motherhood, or that there are many, many, many instances of members of my sorority who have advanced causes, who have done great things and continue to do great things. And I am proud to be associated with them.
Then so that's good.
Right.
Okay. That's all I was asking you.
So when I go to the national convention, do I see step shows and am I in there applauding because of the precision and the all? Yes.
Okay.
Right. Would I say do that instead of being on a college campus and getting the best grades you can get? If doing that takes away from you getting the best grades that you can get, I'd say leave that alone.
Okay.
Right.
I think also when something just came to me when you were talking about it. I recall being a second year student. I was a sophomore at Xavier.
Oh, okay.
And I remember what I thought was funny was people being like, "Oh, Imani, we thought you were going to pledge," because like everybody had crossed over or whatever it's called. And I was like, no. And it became evident to me, this was in this time, that people assumed, I think people were assuming that I would pledge, I don't remember which one it was, because of my, I guess my personality and also color. That was the thing that really bothered me. The other thing that bothered me is that I had friends who I didn't know that they were pledging or crossing over. And then as soon as they crossed over, I never, we never spoke again.
So let me.
And I was like, that's gross. I would never want to be associated with that.
So because I am not an historian of all of that, I don't know which ones, but I do know there are some that ascribed certain characteristics.
Right.
And that the yellow girls were that, and the darker girls were that. Now, let me be clear. All of these sororities were founded in 1913.
Okay.
All right. Black women in college in 1913 were few and far between.
Right.
Right. Black women in college in 1913 came in a variety of shades. I don't know which one was this and which one was that and which one was this. What I can tell you today is that ain't how it works. Okay. Imani, come on.
I mean, Mom, I'm saying,
Imani,
you say that as a member who joined in your 50s. You don't know what's going on HBCUs right now. You don't know that.
If you believe that today, in order to have an organization of 300,000 Black women, right? Because some of us are in the 300,000 range, some of us are in the 200,000 range, some of us are in the 100,000 range. If you think that this organization has 300,000 fair-skinned...
I didn't say that. That's not what I was saying.
Well, what are you saying?
What I'm saying to you is, you can't tell me that still doesn't pervade on college campuses and in some people's minds today. And why is that? Because Black people are going to be Black people, and that's what we do, unfortunately, sometimes.
Oh, so now we're back to human nature, which is what I brought
up in the beginning. Now we're back to white supremacy. We're not back to human nature. We're back to white supremacy. That's what we're back to.
The tribalism is the human nature. That's what I was getting at.
Okay.
Tribalism.
And that's a problem for me.
Tribalism is a problem for you?
I'm saying, if we're cool on Monday and you cross over on Friday, suddenly, right? Like that to me, I'm like, that's gross to me.
It's gross to me too, but that's not, I'm not defining that as tribalism.
Okay, what are you defining as tribalism? Color, like colorism, you're saying?
No. A tribe is a collection of people who frequently have the same similar genetics, same similar culture, same similar language, right? Same similar beliefs, and operate as a system. The little friends you made when you got to Xavier, that wasn't a tribe.
Right.
Right. So when this, whoever she is, or
them,
or they, right?
Right.
If what happened was they joined their club,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're not a member of my club.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that I won't say, hey, Imani, but I won't say, hey, girl, let's kick it tonight. Right. And they're not saying, hey, girl, let's kick it tonight, because these 9, 20, 30 women who I crossed with, or who I'm going to spend the majority of my social time with. That's what happens.
Right. Which is weird to me. Okay. So great. I'm glad you guys could join us. Now we don't ever have to talk about this again.
We don't?
No, we don't.
Who brought it up anyway?
I think I did.
I think you did.
I'm not going to get the book Divine Nine, but
no, there's no reason
for me to do that.
For you
like
to educate yourself about.
I'm not interested, but for those of you that are into it,
But it isn't. What I will say to you is that your experiences as a 18 to 21-year-old, notwithstanding.
17.
Okay. All of that notwithstanding, the whole notion of a progression and dynamism means that I'm hoping that as a result of this conversation, you have an understanding that has broadened beyond where you were when you were 17 to 21, 22 years old.
I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't think so. I've talked to various people. Some of my really good friends are, part of Greek organizations. I mean, and that's not to say it really doesn't ever come up in conversation. Right. But I'm saying, as for you to be my mom, I don't like hypocrisy. I don't like one thing one day and another thing another day. And granted, there's been years, but you were so forceful with your statement back then that it really, really surprised me when you were like, yeah, I'll be a member. Like, that's cool. But like I said, that's your decision. Right. You are part of that organization. You are part of an organization that does great things for the community. Right. You pay your dues. You go.
I don't pay dues. I'm an honorary member.
Well, whatever it is that you do, and you like it, and that's great. This just is not something that I'm into. So that's it.
Right. And it is okay for people to walk paths where they're not always on the same exact path, but the paths will keep crossing.
Yeah, they keep crossing. Right. It's just that I can't. Right. I mean, no one would ever ask me to go down that path with them because I'm very vocal in the fact that I don't want to be a part of it. Right. Great.
I have nieces who are part of it.
Who?
I have nieces who are a part of it.
That we're related to?
Yes, on my husband's side of the family. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. I was like, who? Okay. Well, again, like that's, it never comes up in conversation.
And it wouldn't. Why would it?
I don't know.
And I said that. I asked that question because it is not pervasive. You understand?
What? What's not pervasive?
The membership is not pervasive in one's life. Not like that. So whatever, like you said, one day this girl was your friend and the next day you never saw her anymore. It truly is not in the life of an adult as pervasive as that. When you're on a campus and you're in a closed environment on campus. Yeah,
we were young.
That's my point. Right, that's my point.
Yeah, I get that.
At the point when you grow up and become a grown whatever, and you have a career and a family and activities, etc. Is this a part of your life? Yes, it's a part of your life. It's not pervasive. It's not dominant.
I think I just also had an issue with there was a pervasive feeling that when people crossed over, right, they were better than. And again, we were young,
right?
But that is something that still is in my mind whenever I encounter Greek organization stuff to this day. I'm like, okay, if that's what makes you feel better about yourself, then please, by all means, if it makes you happy, go ahead.
Right.
I am one person.
Right. Well, what I can say to you is, as that person talked about the Divine Nine, the definition of which is the 9 black fraternities and sororities, let me just explain to you one thing. It is forbidden to put down another. It is.
Of course, I'm sure. I mean, of course it is.
It's forbidden. So that what happens is while you're on a college campus.
But again, human nature.
Imani,
that's not what happens.
Let me finish. On a college campus where everybody is feeling their whatevers and trying to be whoever they're being, that across the yard and we having throwdowns and we doing whatever is different than when you grow up and you're in real life. Some of my best friends, even people who pledged on campus as students, growing up, have best friends who are not in that fraternity or sorority, but maybe in a different one.
Okay.
Right. So it's not, in this in this limited environment, it gets taken to ridiculous extremes.
I agree. Right.
And that's what I'm saying. Just keep in mind when you talk about a dynamic evolutionary progression, that happens. That really does happen. And that's why I don't have a problem, zero problem being a member. Because that is not that's not the definition of what we do.
It's not the definition.
Right.
But we all know what happens.
We all know, and I'm not denying it happens.
Right. I'm not saying that you are. I'm just saying there's practice, like there's best practices, of course. But best practices exist. Why? Because human beings are going to do what they want to do. And unfortunately, sometimes human beings do things that are very deplorable.
And sometimes human beings do things at different stages that they would never do at another stage.
Right. Okay.
My point.
Stop looking this up.
That's all I want to say.
Okay, fine.
Right.
So now we never have to talk about it. And now hopefully no one will ever ask me if I am great. Please don't.
And what would your answer be?
What it always is like, no, it wasn't for me.
And that's a perfectly fine answer.
Right. But I'm just saying that like sometimes I'm just like, no, I'm not.
Saying no, I'm not with an attitude.
No, I'm saying in most situations, stop. In most situations, this is via written communication. So
in most instances, what is it?
Like if somebody asks me
to consider?
No. No one asked me to consider.
Oh,
please. No, but like, oh, are you like, no, I'm not.
Right.
Like there was somebody who was like, oh, hi, Sora. You were like, that would be me. I was like, yes, that is her. That is not me. No.
You don't think that person was confused and thought it was you?
It seemed as though you were clarifying
what I said.
Because I was like, I know that person doesn't think it's me.
What I clarified was for anybody who might be reading.
Right. It's not, it's you.
That it's me.
Okay, good.
Right.
Okay, great. Stop. I'm about to go.
Well,
I hope you all had.
It was going to be about sorority.
I mean, I didn't either, but that's what happens.
Okay.
In any case, if you guys are interested in being seen by a psychiatrist, which would be me, you can always not my mom. You can go to darkmatterpsychiatry.com.
Did you get patients from have people been going on and signing up?
Yes, people have been going on and signing up. Also, I think it's like open enrollment or whatever. So I've been getting like
you mean for insurance?
Yeah, for insurance. So I've been getting more people. So, thank you to everybody who has inquired about mental health services.
And do you and can people outside of the state of California?
No.
Okay,
You have to be within the state of California for now. I'm actually in the process of getting my Georgia state license reinstated because I let it go down, look down. So yes. So, I hope you guys, I don't know. Someone said this is such a healthy conversation. I love the way you are listening to each other and allowing the other person to speak. Yeah, we did.
And one's a soror and one's not.
And one's a Capricorn, which would be me. And one's a Virgo who has lots of neuroses and wants to do crazy things and be a hypocrite.
I didn't say anything
anyway,
disparaging.
You guys have a good
that's
evening.
The difference between us.
Well, there's lots of differences between us.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and lots of similarities.
Yeah, like you don't listen. And neither do I. So
I listen well. I was a professional listener.
I listen. Me too. I'm a psychiatrist. I listen very well.
And I was a reporter.
And you know what? I do interviews, and I write everything down. And I'm like, but that's not what you said at 3:43 p.m. What you said? Oh, you know how to check somebody on the email today? Oh my God, this person like got really feisty. It was like, I will show you what it says.
This person is a patient of yours?
No. Oh. This is somebody who's working with me to like complete an application. So first of all, the person was wrong. They were like, well, you have to change the date. And so this person said to me, please do what I ask if you want to get this done. And I replied, I need for you to speak to me properly to get this done. Your tone is evident even in the email without me having to hear your voice.
Oh, and what was the next exchange?
This person said, this is a white person. This person said, I don't know what you were talking about in terms of speaking to you properly. I am just stating facts. I bet it was. Now it's stating facts though,
and
right?
What was the next exchange?
So remember when he was like, this person was like, oh, well, you dated it wrong. I said, so aside from, because I had to send a scan, aside from the clarity of the scan, is everything dated correctly? Yes, it is. So not only were you wrong, you tried to scream on me and then you got checked. And then it was like, I'm just stating facts though. Like, yeah, that's what happens when you get checked.
Is that the same person?
Yes. Wait, the same person
with the date?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was like, you better get it together. Get it together.
Is this a person you have to interact with routinely?
No. I was like, excuse you. No, and no. Like, oh, okay, well, you know what? So basically you were wrong and you tried to get loud. Okay. How'd that work?
Wow.
Remember I told you how people be getting real wild on emails? And you're like, Imani, but I mean, like, whatever. And I was like, yeah, but no. Not today. Anyway. Bye, you guys. This was fun. So now you guys know what to never talk to me about. Okay, great. Okay, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Okay, goodbye.